Hi everybody, I'm Mike Garska with Success Tool Chest and FindAMentor.com. Welcome to this week's Help Me Communicate, where I help you be a better communicator. This week, I'm going to talk about preparing for that job interview, for the job that you really want, and then how to communicate in that interview so you get the job that you really want. So first, today I'm going to talk about, I'm going to give you 8 steps for preparing for the interview and doing the interview itself. And I'm going to talk a little bit about making sure that you're applying for the right job, to how to prepare for which jobs you want to apply for. So in preparing for the interview, the first thing to do is 4 steps here. Know exactly what you want, the kind of job that you want, because that helps prepare for your interview. Research the company and organization that you're going to be going to the interview for. Know what their mission statement is and that kind of thing. And if you can find out who's going to be interviewing you, actually research that person a little bit. Now, be careful in the interview that you don't appear that you've been spying on this person or something, but know something about them so that if there's some commonalities there that you can discover by looking at their LinkedIn or their Facebook or their Twitter account or whatever social media that they're on. If there's some similarities, you might inadvertently or nonchalantly bring up in the interview something, one of your interests that's similar to their interests. So that's why you want to research the person. In your preparedness, make your list of questions. So there's 3 things. Know what you want, research the company and organization and the person, and make your list of questions. Now you're ready for the interview. So then the 4th step in this process to get that job is to psych yourself up. Then be aware of and control your body language and your eye contact in the interview. The next step is to go with the flow of the interview. Make sure that you're answering questions thoroughly and that kind of stuff. And I'm going to give you details on each one of these steps here in the next 15-20 minutes. Sell yourself in the interview and ask some closing questions. That's the steps. So first of all, the first thing to do when you're going out to look for a new job is to know exactly what you want in a new job. Really prepare yourself. Imagine in your heart and in your mind what the perfect job for you is. That's the first step. We spend a lot of time at work, 40 hours of our week, a lot of our waking hours, and we spend a lot of time with people that we're working with. So make sure you're applying for jobs that are perfect for you. And the only way to do that is to know what you really want. So know what you want. What's the perfect job for you? What are the hours? What end of town is it on? What kind of product or service do they offer? What fits for your personality? Write everything that you can think of down about the perfect job for you thoroughly. About the team, your co-workers, the company itself, the products or services, about where it is, about the opportunity for advancement and the growth, and be really clear on what the perfect company or organization for you is. So now we'll refer back to that list as we're preparing for the job interview that once you've applied for the job and got the interview. On that note, there are times, and I just want to address this, that we're really desperate and we need to get a job to get some cash in, to pay the groceries, buy some groceries and keep a roof over our head. And quick note, when you're desperate, that desperation comes through, and emotions are contagious, and people see, and they're also somewhat transparent. And desperateness comes through in an interview. So you want to, before you go into those interviews, get rid of that desperateness. And we'll talk a little bit about how to do that in preparing for the interview a little bit further back. But sometimes when you're really desperate and you just need a job, you can't worry about the perfect job. And I get that. But what you can do is make sure that this stepping stone job to get you through has some flexibility, which gives you the ability and the time to look for that perfect job. So when you're in a desperate mode and you got to take the first job that comes along, don't take just the first job that comes along. Take the best first job that comes along that has some flexibility and gives you the ability to continue looking for the perfect job. So that's the first thing to get out of the way here. Now I'm going to assume that you're currently working. And remember that I know when I'm doing recruiting, and I've done recruiting for clients, and I've done recruiting for my own businesses, and when I'm doing recruiting, One of the criteria that I look for is that I really like to hire. I like to hire people that are currently working. It shows loyalty. It shows a sense of responsibility. People that quit their job before finding another job demonstrate to some people a lack of responsibility. That you're flying off the handle. You're doing things inadvertently, or not inadvertently, but quickly and without thinking things through, and you're putting yourself in a desperate situation. And I want to hire somebody that's confident, that's responsible, that's loyal, that's committed, and that's thoughtful, and plans things out. And when you're working and applying for work, it demonstrates that you have some of those qualities and attributes in your personality. So it's best to apply for the perfect job when you're already working someplace else. It's also best not to change jobs lots. I know when I'm doing resume browsing and selecting resumes for people to call, one of the things that I do is if someone's changed job 3 times in the last year, I don't even look at the resume. I don't go beyond that. So the first thing I look for is how long people keep their jobs. And most employers that are looking for good long-term employees, and if you're looking for your perfect job, you're looking for a good long-term employer, they are looking for people that show commitment and will stick a job out through thick and thin, because no job is perfect. Every business, every organization that you go to work for, there's going to be issues. Always is. And so you got to be able to get through those issues. Now, different companies have different cultures that make it easier to get through those issues, and we want to find the company that has the right culture that makes it easy to get through challenges and struggles that come up in any work environment. So, be clear on what those attributes are, and put that in that list that I talked to you about earlier about the perfect job for you. So my point was apply for work when you're working, and try not to change jobs too often, because it puts a negative tick on your resume, and often people won't even consider your resume if they've seen that you've switched jobs a lot. Now, if I've seen that somebody switched jobs a couple times this year, well, they just made the wrong choice. But in the past history, they've stuck with jobs for 3 to 4 to 5 to 10 years. That still demonstrates that loyalty and that responsibility. So I may make the exception in some cases, but we do. Good companies are looking for people that stick with the job through thick and thin and get through those challenges that come up in any position. So now you know exactly what the perfect job is. You've got the interview, and you want to prepare yourself for that interview. So the first step is to research the company. Go to their website, find out as much information about the companies you want, and particularly know what their mission statement is. And mention at the beginning of the interview that you did a little bit of research, you know that what the mission statement is, and say, I think I can fit with that mission statement. I mean, that's a perfect opening to your interview. So research the company. And I mentioned earlier, research the person that will be interviewing you if you know who they are, and get to know a little bit about them. Find out your common attributes or your common likes and dislikes. And then nonchalantly in the interview, you can bring those up. So do your research. Really, really important. And you've also know exactly what the perfect job is that you want. You've researched this company fits into that perfect job. Remember, when you're making up that full list of what the perfect job is, to imagine yourself in that position. What would it be like if you had that perfect job? And imagine what it feels like, and get into that mode, into your body. And that helps you attract the perfect job when you imagine it and visualize it and tell yourself that you're going to get it, or that you already have it. That all helps. So you've researched the company, you know your perfect list. Now you make your list of questions. And the first thing to do is to refer to the attributes in that perfect job, and pull out some questions out of that list that will help you uncover if this is in fact going to be the perfect company to work for. Things like, what's the work atmosphere like? What's the average retention of your employees? Do people stay for a long time? Ask those questions. It shows, and if they're willing to answer them clearly, yeah, we got lots of guys and gals that have been here for 5 to 30 years. Well, that shows that it's a good company to work for if people are staying long term. Ask about the work atmosphere and what the culture's like, and just leave it open-ended. What's the work culture here like from your perspective, Mr. Interviewer? And just keep it open and see what kind of answers they come up with. Don't ask about your pay and benefits and stuff like that till the end of the interview. But put those questions on the list as well. Really important questions to put on your list as we're preparing our list is, remember that in any job, we're there to serve. We're serving customers. Now, sometimes those customers are external customers. Sometimes those customers are internal customers. But we're serving customers. So a couple of really good questions to have on your list of questions to ask when you go into that interview are, who are the people that I'll be serving? And what are they like? And ask that. And let's see what kind of answer comes out of the interviewer. The next question to ask about people is, what kind of challenges come up in serving that group of people? So those are two separate questions. Leave them both open-ended and allow the person to answer them. Now, when you ask questions about who you're serving and the challenges that come up when you're serving them, what that does is it demonstrates to the person interviewing you that you have a willingness to serve and a willingness to move through challenges. And it demonstrates confidence. And remember I said in the interview, anytime I did a talk about the science of emotion, and emotions are contagious. They spread. And when you demonstrate that willingness to serve, okay, that willingness to, that confidence in getting through challenges, that confidence and that willingness to serve transfers into the interviewer and their positive feelings. Your job in an interview is to invoke positive feelings in the person interviewing you. Okay, so these questions are designed to help you do that. What kind of people am I going to serve? Who are they? What are they like? And what are the challenges that come up in serving them? Put those two questions on your interview list for sure. And any other questions that will uncover, like I said, what the atmosphere is like. What's the work atmosphere like here? Do people go out after hours and collaborate a little bit here and there? Just, you know, what do you think? How would you answer that question? So ask those people, ask those questions. So you're preparing all your questions. The other questions, let me just go through my list here that you might want to ask people. Definitely ask them if there's opportunity to grow and if there's opportunity for people to mentor you. Because that demonstrates a willingness to learn and grow as an individual, and it triggers those feelings of a willingness to learning and grow in the person interviewing you. So ask about if there's a mentor, any kind of a way to get mentored in the company. Another really good question to ask. And then your standard list. What are the benefits? When do they kick in? What's the pay? Is there an opportunity for pay to go up if I serve more? And if you're going to ask for anything about a future increase in pay, we make sure that you relate it to your desire and ability to serve at a higher level. You get paid for better service. That's the bottom line. So make sure that those questions are all in your list of questions. Now, we've got our list of questions. We know a little bit about the company. We're going into the interview. Right before you go into the interview, psych yourself up. Get excited. Remember that emotion is contagious. So tap into your confidence. Okay? Think of a time that you felt really confident and tap into that feeling. I saw a little blurb on preparing for interviews, and the gentleman suggested that you go, before you go into the interview, you raise your hands above your head and go, yes! Get that positive feeling, and imagine that imagine yourself coming out of the interview going, yes, I nailed that interview. So this is all about psyching yourself up for the interview before you go in. This is about invoking confidence, patience, determination, willingness to serve, the desire to get in touch with your desire to connect with others. Get in touch with all those positive things that are good attributes to have in an employee. Think, what kind of attributes do you want, would you like to have in a coworker and an employee? And make sure that you're going into the interview invoking those attributes in yourself and being in touch with those types of emotions: the confidence, the patience, the perseverance, the determination, the willingness to serve, the desire to connect with other people. Those are all positive emotions. So psych yourself up, get in touch with those. Then you go into the interview. Now, it's critical when you're in the interview that, first of all, you go in with your list, with your note and your paper. Okay, that shows preparedness. And again, it triggers the feeling of being prepared in the person interviewing you. And when I'm interviewing somebody and I see that they've got their notepad and a list of questions, hey, this person's prepared. They're obviously confident, and I get in touch with all those feelings in me as an interviewer, and I like it. Just like you like it when you feel those positive emotions. So take your notepad in. Don't show them necessarily. Let them be able to read your questions and that kind of stuff, because as you go with the flow of the interview, you may choose to ask or delete, add or delete different questions that pop into your mind as you go. But you've got your list, so you show prepared. Keep your body language open. Now, if I'm going into my interview like this, arms and legs crossed, I'm in a defensive mode. And that defensive mode is also contagious. So I want to be opened up when I'm being interviewed. So go in with open body language. I also want some soft eye contact. Look at the ears and around the face. Don't stare, because staring is a threat to people. But when you demonstrate soft eye contact, that shows a willingness to be transparent and open. And again, it triggers positive feelings, gets people confident in who you are. So soft eye contact, open body language, and a quick little tip. If the other person, the person interviewing you, is all closed off like this, you want to get them open. And the best way to get them open is to be open yourself, and then to go and briefly mirror them. Okay, so if they're let's say if they've got their arms crossed, for example. So I'll cross my arms in a situation like that for about 5 seconds. Then I'll open up and I'll put them in front of me. And as I'm soft gazing at the person, I'll cross my arms for another couple seconds. Then I'll open them up for a minute. Then I'll cross them out and I'll open them up. And after 4 or 5 times doing that, typically the other person opens up. So it's about leading them into open body language as well once you're in the interview. So keep your body language open, get your soft eye contact, have your list of questions, be prepared, go with the flow of the interview. Start the interview, say, thank you very much for interviewing me. I really appreciate this opportunity. I did a little bit of research on the company and I understand what your mission statement is and it fits with me. And now say, what kind of things would you like to know? One of the things I forgot to mention is, I think I did, I'm not sure, I'm going to repeat it anyway, because this is really important. Be prepared for open-ended questions. When I am doing an interview with a person, I ask open-ended questions that will uncover their personality traits and how they handle different situations. Some of the open-ended questions that I'll ask when I'm interviewing somebody is things like, tell me about a time you had a conflict with a coworker, what happened and how you handled it. Tell me about a time you had a challenge with a customer, what happened and how you handled it. Tell me about a time that you put a policy or procedure into place that improved the productivity or efficiency of your job. Tell me about a time that you really admired your boss, or tell me about a time where you really had lost respect for your boss. Tell me about a time when you really helped a coworker get through something. And I'll ask open-ended questions like that. Be prepared for open-ended questions, particularly around your ability to deal with other people. And be prepared for that, how you deal with challenging situations. That's, if they're asking you open-ended questions, they want to uncover a little bit more about your personality. So be prepared to answer those questions thoroughly. When you've answered a question, really important to ask the person, have I answered your question thoroughly enough for you? Would you like more, or would you like me to talk a little bit more about it, or are you satisfied? Show that you care about being thorough. And when you show that you care about being thorough, that energy, that caring transfers into the other person, and the positive emotion is triggered in them. So, did I answer your question thoroughly? Right? Now, it's really important to answer questions that have been asked thoroughly and completely. But remember, you're selling yourself in this process. And in this selling process, the most important thing is to ask questions. I've always said that the best salespeople are the best questioners and the best listeners. And it's very, very true. In fact, when we're coaching people on selling a product or a service, and here you're kind of selling your service, but you're in an interview process, so you have to juggle this one a little bit, this tip. But the tip is to selling products and services is you want to have control of your sales interview. And as soon as the customer is asked more than one question in a row, you've lost control of the sales interview. So you want to keep control of the sales interview. So the theory is, when you're selling, you ask questions. And in this process, you're qualifying the customer, you're presenting your products, and you're closing the customer. But and they're all different questions when you're selling a specific product or service. Excuse me, but in this process, you're selling yourself. So every once in a while, you want to throw a question in. Now, if you throw too many questions at an interviewer, you might turn them off, and appear to be taking control of the interview, and you might put them on the defensive. So you have to be careful here and not necessarily adhere to the rule of asking. You might want to, in this situation, let the interviewer ask you more than one question in a row. Ask a couple, then you ask one, because you want to softly control the interview here. But the simple theory is when the customers ask more than one question in a row, you've lost control of the interview. So therefore, you answer their questions thoroughly and clearly, and then you ask another question. So whenever a customer asks a question, you answer it and ask another one. In this case, I would typically let them ask me a couple questions, then I would slip one in. So I'd kind of reverse it to a 2-to-1 thing. But by slipping that odd question in, you're keeping some control of the interview. And that's when you keep a list of your questions and try and keep it relative to the flow of the interview. Tell me about the work atmosphere. Tell me about my coworkers. Tell me what you're looking for. What are the attributes you're looking for? And what would the perfect employee look like for you? Ask them that open-ended question. What would the perfect employee look like? And that'll tell you and allow you to ask a couple other questions or to give some answers about why you're that perfect employee. Right? Ask them. Really important. They'll love this question. Tell me about the people I'll be serving. And tell me about the challenges that comes up in serving that group. When you ask those two questions, those are two powerful questions that really transfer confidence into the interviewer towards you. Okay? So remember to go with the flow, but throw in your questions as you're answering their questions thoroughly. And then the closing questions at the end of the interview are what's the pay? What's the benefits? When do the benefits kick in? Remember, these are the last questions. What are the hours? Is there any overtime expected? Those kind of things. The last question is, when would be a good time for me to follow up? Or when are you going to be making a decision on this position? And when would be a good time to follow up with? And who should I follow up with? And see what they say. It demonstrates an ability to be thorough. And it demonstrates an ability it demonstrates that you care, that you want the job, and people want to hire people that want the job. So, in retrospect, remember that the interviewer should be trying to sell his organization, so keep that in mind when you're asking those open-ended questions about the company and the atmosphere and what they're looking for in an employee. But here's the revamp of the whole thing. Know what you want. Be really clear on the perfect job for you. Imagine it. Write down all of the attributes. Then look for the perfect job. When you get the interview, research the company thoroughly. Research the person that's going to be interviewing you thoroughly. And if you get a chance to nonchalantly throw in an interest of yours that is similar to an interest to the person interviewing you, it will generate some off-the-topic discussion, but it will build camaraderie and build the strength of the relationship. Make your list of questions. Know make a list of questions that will uncover if this company is the right company to work for you. Tell me about the work atmosphere. Do you have long-term employees? Is there an opportunity to be mentored? Tell me about the customers that I'm going to be serving. Tell me about the challenges that come up in serving those customers. Tell me about some of the challenges I might expect in my job in general. Tell me about the pay. Tell me about the benefits. Tell me about the hours expected. Tell me about the opportunity to earn more money if I serve more people or serve better. Tell me about the opportunity to get mentored. Those are the questions that you put on your list. Now you're ready for the interview. You're going into the interview. Just before you go in, you psych yourself up. You go, yay! You get in touch with your confidence, your patience, your perseverance, your willingness to serve. You imagine times in your life that all felt good to you, that you felt confident, that you felt that desire to persist, that you felt that willingness to serve. Think about those times. Psych yourself up. Then you go into the interview. You have your notebook. You write down notes as you need to. You have your questions. You show preparedness. You tell them. You open the interview. Thank you for having me. I did a little bit of research on the company. I noticed your mission statement was ... That really fits well with me. Tell me about the opportunity. What would you like to know from me? And so that's how you open it up. You keep your body language open. You get the soft eye contact. If they're closed off, you match them and bring them out. Match them and bring them out. Sell yourself by asking questions at the right times. You throw your questions in there when it's relevant. After you've answered their question thoroughly, go down your list and throw in a question that fits with the topic that they've asked you about. Go with the flow of the interview and sell yourself. Ask questions. Remember, don't be in an interview process. You don't want to be asking too many questions unless it's opening up. Feel it out. But remember, you're there to invoke positive emotion in the interviewer. And so when you notice something good about the company, tell them what you like about that. Tell them, because then they'll feel good. So when they answer one of your questions about the atmosphere and you like it, say, oh, I really like that. Make them feel good about it. Or I really admire that. Or I appreciate that. Or I respect that. But tell them positive things about their company and them that whenever you can. And answer or ask those questions that matter to you. Close the interview off with asking about pay and benefits, and close it off with saying, is there any other questions or concerns, any other questions I can answer, or any other concerns you have that I might be able to address here before I leave? And can I follow up? Who would I follow up with, and when's a good time to follow up? That is your getting prepared for an interview. I hope you enjoyed today's Help Me Communicate. I hope it helps you go out and get that perfect job for you. Because that's what it's intended to do. Please don't forget to like our posts here on Facebook. Go to successtoolchest.com or to our YouTube channel and like our posts. We post the Help Me Communicate at the vlog blog at successtoolchest.com. We've done over 30 of these weekly Help Me Communicates now. They're all at the successtoolchest.com. They're all on different topics. So check them out. If there's a challenge coming up that you need to communicate about in some way, there might be a post on that. So they're all 20 minutes long. Read that through. We also give you the free HIP Human Interaction Process Effective Awareness Tool, the most important tool that you can have for guiding conversations. It's free. You can download the PDF or the short video that I did on it. At successtoolchest.com. Don't forget to join findamentor.com. Be a mentor in that area of life that you're really good at. There's over 1,900 different categories where you can mentor people, pay it forward, give a little bit back. There's millions of people looking for mentors out there in different aspects of life, and there's somebody looking for you to mentor them. If you're looking for a mentor in a particular aspect of life, join Find a Mentor. It's all free for the mentors, for the mentees. It's a free service. We see mentoring as a free thing that happens naturally in life. We see coaching as a fee-for-service product. So mentoring is free, coaching is done for a fee. Go out and make it an awesome day. Like all of our posts. Check out Success Tool Chest, findamentor.com. Follow us on Facebook, our YouTube channel, and on Twitter. Go out and make it an awesome day. We'll see you next week for Help Me Communicate. Good luck in getting that perfect job. Bye for now.